Right, so my name is Liz, Liz Woodham, and I'm joined today by Charlie Gilsdale. Can you wave at everybody, Charlie? Brilliant. And Ems Lord. And we're all members of the NRICH team. We're based in Cambridge. And today what we're going to be doing is we've chosen a couple of our favourite tasks to work on with you. We're going to be encouraging you to use the mathematics you already know, but to think in a mathematical way and to begin to think strategically, to solve tasks. And one of the tasks is a game, so to play strategically in that context. As I mentioned, we're going to be inviting you to contribute your mathematical thoughts via the chat. So teachers, that will be, please, your role to kind of gather the thinking in your class and then type a quick summary of what's been happening for us when we invite you to do so. So I think, without further ado, we should get going on our first task. Charlie, what do you think? Okay, so I'm going to share my visualizer. And I've got something set up for you here. There we go. Right, so I'm hoping that you can see some boxes, and we're going to introduce this challenge to you, but we'd like to invite you to have a go yourselves as we are. I was going to use the word playing. It has a very playful feel to it, this task. So before we go any further, could you please draw yourself 8 boxes like this? You may have noticed that there are some interesting symbols on my sheet as well. So in your class, you may want to convince yourselves that you know what this symbol means. Charlie, I think everybody has a particular way of remembering that. So there are different ways of doing it. One way that you might suggest, one of the ways I use it is that the larger end, the open end of this symbol, I like to remember goes next to the larger number. So I would read this as a less than sign. So this 2-digit number is less than this 2-digit number. But you'll have your own way of remembering. There are different ways of doing it. So once you've drawn your 8 boxes and your 2 less than signs, we're going to be ready to go. Charlie, are you ready?
I'm ready. I sometimes cheat a little bit, Liz.
You cheat? What?
And instead of drawing those 2 lines so that they meet, could you have a go underneath? Draw the 2 lines, but leave a little bit of space where they're supposed to meet. Oh, do it at the bottom of the sheet. Okay, no, that's fine. Just, and then leave a little bit of space, just tiny. Okay,
like that.
Like that. And so for me, there's a very small gap on the left and there's a much bigger gap on the right. And I know it's not quite the right, but it means that because there's a small gap on the left, that's where the small number goes. There's a big opening on the right. That is where the big number goes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've got here a 0 to 9 dice, and I'm going to throw the dice. And I'm going to, I'll shout out what the number is. And I'd like you to place that digit into one of the boxes. And please place it before I throw the dice again. That's quite important. So don't wait until you've got more numbers, but place your digit into one of your boxes. Now, what we're trying to do, as you can imagine, is we're trying to make these number sentences correct. So that as you're filling in your boxes, we're going to try and make sure that this 2-digit number is indeed less than this 2-digit number, and this 2-digit number is less than this 2-digit number. Okie dokie. I'm going to be working with Charlie. So as you are doing it in school, we're going to be having a go on the screen. So don't feel like you've got to put your digits where we're putting ours. Please do whatever you think is best. Okay, here we go. First number, first digit is a 1. So let me get a different colour. Charlie, what do you think? A 1? I might pop it in the 10s here.
No.
No?
Definitely not.
Why not? I think you're right, Charlie. I'm going to try putting it here. Okay. Okay, next number. A 9. Right. Ooh, That's a good one. What do you think, Charlie?
Well, I'm happy for you to put the 9 where you were going to put the 1.
There we go. There we go. And next, we've got a 6. Okay. I think I might go. I'm going to put that here, I think. Remember, as I'm rolling the dice, if you can be putting the digits in your own boxes, don't worry too much. Oh, okay, 5. Well, I might put it here. Okay. Oh, and now we've got an 8. All right, where are you going to put your 8? Oh, I think I might put it here. So I've made an 18 there. And then we got another 9. Right, another 9. 2 more digits to go. 0. I'm going to make 60 there. And finally, another 9. Okay, so you will have made your own number sentences. Let me just read. Let me have a little look here. So I've got 18 is less than 99. Okay, yeah, I agree. 59 is less than 60. Yeah, good. Okay, so I've managed to make my number sentences correct. I've got the inequalities correct. Charlie's right. If I'd have put the 1 here, I might have been in trouble. You have to think about why. How did you get on at school? I hope you managed to create some sentences which were also correct. Charlie, I didn't quite give you all the rules there. What I failed to mention, oh, hang on, I've just noticed we've got a good question in the chat, Charlie. Is 09 okay? What do we reckon about that? Charlie, what are your views? Are we going to allow somebody to have written 09?
I think it's too late now not to allow it, but I think if we're hoping everyone's going to play this game once they know the full rules when they get back to school. So I think there needs to be an agreement before the game starts. So I think for the time being, it should be allowed, but in future, there may be a suggestion that it's not allowed.
Interesting. I like the fact that some of you in the chat have waded into the argument, which is exactly what we'd love you to be doing. Some of you don't think it should be allowed, and you'll have good reasons for that. But I think, as Charlie said, as we haven't mentioned it at the start, let's allow it for now. Back at school, when you play your own versions, you can decide that before you start. So what I failed to tell you was, in fact, there is a point score to this game. And so actually, as well as trying to make my number sentences correct, I am in fact also going to score the sum of these two 2-digit numbers. So if I have got this number sentence correct, I can use this top 2-digit number in my score. If I have also got the lower number sentence correct, I can use this 2-digit number in my score. Now, luckily, in this instance, I did get both number sentences correct. So I can add the total, I can make the total of 18 and 59, which I think makes 77. So my score for this game would be 77. If I'd got either of these number sentences wrong, I wouldn't be able to use that 2-digit number. So have a look at what you've done. Now, I appreciate you didn't know the scoring system, but just so that we are sure we understand how to score, would you mind working out the score for your own game? Teachers, perhaps you could pop in the chat some of the example scores you've got. And then we'll come back to it. So what was your score? What did you get? Post in the chat. Thank you. Right. Okay, now we're going to offer you a slightly different challenge now. I'd like you to imagine that you knew, somebody has preempted my next question. I'd like you to imagine that you have got these 8 digits. So Charlie, can you just make sure please that I'm doing this correctly? I'm going to list at the top of my piece of paper the 8 digits that we rolled in this case. So I think we had a 0, we had a 1, we had a 5, a 6, an 8, and 3 9s. Is that correct? I think I've got them all there. So I'm going to ask you a slightly different question. Thanks, Charlie. Some of you are claiming that you think you have got the highest score. Now, there are quite a few pretty large scores that have come up. We've got 141, for example. I'm just scrolling back through the chat. Somebody has put 194. Now, remember that our score is only the sum of these two-digit numbers. And we can only add these numbers in if our number sentence along here is correct. So here's my challenge to you. If you know that the numbers you have got are 0, 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 9, 9, where would you place them? So that, first of all, the number sentences are correct, but secondly, that you get as large a score as possible. Charlie, do you want to chip in anything that I might not have explained?
Well, I think you have explained it, but I didn't understand. But there is still someone talking about 98 and 99. If you put 98 and 98 on the left-hand side, you will be able to make it smaller than 99 and 99 on the right-hand side. So yes, you can have, if you were allowed to have 2 99s on the right and 2 98s on the left,
yes,
that is indeed the highest score you could get. But it wouldn't be using the 0 and the 1 and the 5 and the 6 and Liz's challenge to everybody, in case that wasn't very clear, is that you've got to use the same 8 numbers that Liz rolled. So Liz is going to leave, I think, her 0, 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 9, 9 on the screen. And the challenge is to use all those 8 numbers once and only once, and end up with 2, I'm going to call them sentences, 2 correct sentences, where the 2-digit number on the left is smaller than the 2-digit number on the right in the top row, and again on the bottom row.
Can you beat my 77? Some of you already have. But the crucial question is, what is the largest possible sum? If you think you have found it, what I'd like you to be doing in your class is to rehearse, so talk through together how you know. Could you convince us that that is the largest possible? There isn't another higher total. Please, what I'd like to ask you to do is don't post any reasoning on the chat for another couple of minutes, because I don't want to give any spoilers. But if you think you've got the largest, that's what I'd like you to be working on. How do you know?
And I'd just like to add, whoever's typing in 196 as the possible highest number hasn't understood the rules yet. So apologies from us that we haven't made this sufficiently clear, but 196 is impossible according to the scoring. Okay.
Okay, some time to think.
there seem to be two strong contenders. 149 and 176 appear often. I've worked out how to make one of those totals, so I'm going to see if I can figure out how everyone's making the other total. And obviously, you might all want to see whether you can do as well as the best that are being suggested. Another 197 has turned up. That is definitely impossible. You'd need 99 and 98 on the left-hand side, and you wouldn't be able to make those two numbers smaller than the numbers on the right-hand side.
Okay, shall we have a little think about justifying or you know, convincing somebody else how we think our total is the highest? Thank you to all of you who've posted, and I thank you also to those of you who are having a little bit of conversation about, actually, we think your solution is impossible. What I hope you're doing in the classroom is answering why. I appreciate it's much more tricky to put that in the chat. So Charlie, you mentioned, and what I'm going to do here, Charlie, I'm going to move my piece of paper up a little bit because I think I've got a blank grid that might be helpful for us to, there are the numbers. What do you think, Charlie? How you mentioned that a couple of numbers, one of the numbers that you'd seen, you did think you'd managed to make. You weren't convinced yet about the others. Can you talk us through some of your thinking?
Sorry, are you, just to be clear, Liz, are you asking me to tell you how I came to a conclusion about what my highest was?
I think perhaps you could you choose the can you remind us of the two totals that you'd seen, please? One which you were convinced about and one that you weren't quite sure yet. And can you talk us through why you weren't quite convinced about one of them to start with, please? Am I putting you, have you not written it down? If you haven't written down those two and I'm asking something too difficult, then please shout.
Well, yes, I was sort of fairly convinced I had the highest total, but I didn't. I've only, ooh. So perhaps I'll tell you, I thought initially 176 was the highest total. Okay,
so can you walk us through how you're thinking to that point?
So I thought that I needed the largest possible totals on the left, but they still have to be smaller than the ones on the right. And there are 3 9s. So I thought I would put a 9 in the tens column of the number at the top on the right.
This one here.
So there's a 90. And I thought I would also put a 9 in the unit, in the tens column on the left. So I'd get
this one here.
Yes. And so I then thought, okay, I want the number on the left to be as big as possible. So I thought, well, how about 95 and 96? Because 95 is smaller than 96. Yes. So I put that as my top sentence.
Okay.
And I thought that was quite good because I was getting a really big number on the left-hand side.
Which is going to be part of your total. So this was really good.
That was going to be my total. There was just a difference of 1. And then I thought, that's good, because then I can have a 90 on the bottom sentence and an 80 on the top sentence. So so I thought I'd put the 9 and the 8 in the.
So you thought then that you would do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and again, I was quite pleased with that because I was getting a 90 something on the left and an 80 something on the left, and that was going to be my scoring. And then the only 2 numbers I hadn't used were the 0 and the 1, and so I thought I'd have a 90 and an 81 because and so that's how I got 176, and a lot of people got 176. But then I was curious about how some people were saying 177. And I thought, well, what's going on there? How are they getting this? They can't all be making an arithmetic mistake. So then I started thinking about, well, the difference between 81 and 90 is quite large. And so if I could, I sort of want to bring the numbers closer together. How did I do this? Okay, so I don't know. Do you want me to give away how I got 177?
Well, I wonder, could those of you who think, so we've got a few suggestions here about 177. If you thought 177, perhaps you could give us a little clue about how you did that. Please contribute on the chat. Okay.
Do you want to do another
Shall I do another
Liz?
box? Yep.
Or just cover up? Yes.
Here we go.
So I'm going to read out the numbers again to you. 0, 1.
Oh yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you very much. Make sure everybody can see them. 0, 1.
0, 1.
Actually, I can see them here, Charlie, so don't worry. Thank you, though. I can see them from my other piece of paper.
Okay.
There we go. And let's put the boxes in quickly.
What I think was really interesting is that I was so confident that 176 was the highest. I stopped thinking about it.
Isn't that is really interesting. Thank you for admitting that, Charlie, because I think that's really important.
Liz, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Have you still got the previous sheet with?
Yes.
Can you just show why the score is 176 on the previous sheet? Can you just do the sum, please?
Yes, of course.
Because there's somebody who's still posting 197.
Yeah.
And I just want to show, just in case the scoring is not clear or something.
Yeah, so we've agreed that we've put these 8 digits in, our number sentences are correct, exactly as you've explained, Charlie. And so the score for this game is 95 added to 81. So you have different ways of doing this. I guess I can think about 90, I could think of 90 and 80, that altogether is 170. And then I've got the 5 and 1 is 6. So I think that makes, 176.
And can you just say, and you've done it, you just had a plus sign, you've added the 95 and the 81, and you're allowed to add those two numbers because those indeed are the two smallest numbers in the sentences that are correct.
Exactly.
So if there are some classes who are still scoring in the 190s, I don't think it's possible with the numbers that we have. Exactly. But I think 177 is possible.
Okay.
And like I was saying, I was just sitting comfortably, slightly smugly thinking, I know the highest score, and then somebody did better. So that's part of the reason why it's really nice to share the results here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've got some suggestions here about how you might do it. I can see, I know that many of you have posted. I happen to be able to see a class whose teacher is called Miss Walker. Thank you, Miss Walker. And so she has suggested that we can do 91. And 90. So that's interesting, isn't it, Charlie? So like you were saying, what they have managed to do is to create the difference between these two numbers is smaller, which has allowed them to have a bigger number, a bigger 2-digit number here, which then of course has has boosted their total. So let's just see how that, I'm wondering, can I?
Yes, Liz.
Yes.
In my original one.
Yes, there's your original.
The gap between the two numbers at the top was just one.
Was just one.
I was really pleased with that.
Yes.
But the gap at the bottom was 9.
9.
So the total difference was 10. Whereas in the new version, the difference in the top sentence is 4 and the difference in the bottom sentence is 4. Exactly. So the total difference is 8. So they've brought the two numbers slightly closer together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all so much for participating. Charlie, I believe that, I mean, one thing you could do with this task is to, as Charlie alluded to earlier, you could sit side by side with somebody else. You could roll the dice, you could both decide where to put that number in your boxes, and you could play a competitive game to see who could get the largest score. So that's one thing you might want to have a go at. But it is rather lovely thinking about what is my maximum possible score given this set of 8 numbers. Charlie, I believe you have a little extension for us to think about back in the classroom. Shall I stop sharing to allow you to?
Okay, yes, yes, yep. Please.
There we go. Over to you.
Okay, can you see that, Liz?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
I can enlarge it. Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Very visible.
Let me just check that it's okay. So it seemed to me that not only can you play Liz's version of the game, but you could play a version of the game where again you throw a dice 8 times, but this time you've got just one long sentence, a 2-digit number minus another 2-digit number. It's got to be smaller than another subtraction where you're subtracting 2-digit number minus a 2-digit number. And the score, just like in Liz's case, the score is going to be that result. So that gives you the score. So you want your score to be as large as possible, but that has to be smaller than that. So just like with Liz's, you need to make that big, but you need to make that as big as possible if you want to score highly. So that's a second version of the game. So you could play the game, and hopefully you will play the game after today. But right now, we'd like to set you the challenge of imagining that Liz has thrown the dice 8 times, and just by luck, she's got all the numbers from 1 to 8. So she's got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So no zeros this time to worry about. And the challenge for you is, where would you place these numbers so that you get the highest possible score? And we want to give you a few minutes to do this.
Yeah, I think if you have a few minutes to begin to think about it, we may not give you enough time to fully to reach a final solution, if you like, because we'd love to show you one more task before we leave to give you a taster of another task. But have a little start to think about it. Ideally, work with a partner or in a small group and chat through your ideas. So let's just have a couple of minutes to begin thinking.
And if you want to share anything in the chat, we're very happy for you to share what you think your score would be, but don't tell us how you got it. I think it was really nice having the 149s and the 176s and the 177, and everybody going back and looking back at their work. If you give away how you get a really high score, then it sort of gives the game away. So tell us what your score is, but don't tell us how you got it.
Just to clarify the score The score is the difference of the two-digit numbers on the left of the number sentence. So can you see where Charlie has sort of grouped those two? So for example, if I had got, if I'd put 45 take away 12, then that would be my score, the difference there. What's 45 take away 12? 33, I think. So in this case, my score would be 33, but I'm still trying to make sure that the number sentence is correct. I hope that makes it a bit clearer if you weren't sure. Ooh, we've got 75 as the highest so far. Thanks, Charlie, for scribbling.
Okay, so I'm just checking, Liz.
Yes.
I've used, so here in this example, maybe I've used the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8.
Yes, you have.
87 minus 36, I think comes to 51.
Yes.
And 45 minus 12,
yeah,
I think comes to 33.
Yes.
And 33 is indeed smaller than 51.
Great.
So 33 would be my score.
That would be your score. So
and the
it looks
challenge
like...
is, can you make a higher score than that?
Thank you. So we'll give you a few more minutes to think, but then we might show you another task briefly rather than follow up the thinking.
I think somebody's put a score of 117. They must be adding rather than subtracting, it seems to me, because if you have a 2-digit number and you subtract a 2-digit number, you're not going to get a score which is a 3-digit number. So it's this subtraction that gives you the score.
Try not to give away your solution at the moment, please. Just give us your highest score. Thank you.
Okay, and again, somebody's got a score of 90. 90 is not going to be possible because the highest number you can get here could be something in the 80s, perhaps, then you're going to subtract something from something in the 80s. You're going to get less than 80, and you've still got to make sure that it's smaller than the number on the right.
Yeah. I like the fact that some of you are posting a little bit about your thinking so far and having to revise what you've done. That's great. That's exactly what a mathematician would do. Have a go at something, tweak, revise, try and get closer. Sometimes we refer to that as tinkering, which I like. I love that word, tinkering.
And okay, I like the way that I also like the way that the maximum scores are sort of narrowing down into the high 40s, 50s. Some people have got 60s.
Oh yes, you do be careful that you've used each of the digits once. Thank you to those of you who've shared your realization.
Yeah, a bit of feedback from Mrs. Kipling's class. I don't think 84 is possible.
Yeah, we agree. You can't get over 100, absolutely, for the reasons that Charlie has outlined. Okay, I think, Charlie, should we just quickly introduce the other task for students to work on in their own time?
Okay.
This challenge that we've just...
Liz, I just want to make sure everybody really understands the rules of this. I don't know, there's a bit of me that's tempted to tell them what the highest possible score is, but not tell them how to get it. So
okay.
Because if everyone's going, if people are going to go and play this game back at school, then I really want to make sure that they've understood that if they can get the highest possible score, then they should. I think I'll be confident that they've understood how the game is played.
Okay, yes.
So okay. And interesting, quite a few people have found the highest possible score, which indeed is 61. So I'm not going to tell you how I got 61, but it is possible to get a score of 61 on the left and a total which is a little bit more than 61 on the right. And it was interesting that I think someone said, oh, we got 62, but it was equal. So you can get 62 equal to 62. I think it was 62. Nice. But 61 is indeed the highest score you can get. So if you're getting a score which is more than 61, I'm afraid you're not quite following the rules. So can you go back and check that you've used all the numbers once, check that the number on the left is smaller than the number on the right, check that your subtraction is correct. There's something that's not quite right. But otherwise, and a lot of you are agreeing, and I love 61 is our new highest. So somebody's saying that they're struggling, that's fine. Mathematicians struggle, and it's part of the joy that when you then get to the solution, there is all the satisfaction of getting somewhere after struggling. So don't post in the chat how you got 61, because we really want people to have a go at figuring this out for themselves. Okay, Liz, we've got a few minutes.
We've got a few minutes. So if you can possibly pause your thinking, Charlie, would you mind, stop, brilliant, thank you very much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, but this time we're going to introduce you quickly to a game on the NRICH site. And there we go. Okay, can you, oops, that's not what I wanted. Oh, hang on a second. No, sorry, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Apologies, everybody. I'm getting there. There we go. Charlie, can you see the web browser? Thank you. Brilliant. So the game that we would like to show you is called First Connect 3. Now, in just the same way that there was for the task we just did, we're going to offer you this first version of the game, but there is a second follow-up for you to have a play at. So Charlie, what we're going to do is we're going to play against each other, and I'm going to change the settings so would you call yourself a human, Charlie? There we go. I would. Human against human. And we're going to take it in turns to spin the spinners. We can decide whether we add the two numbers or find the difference between the two numbers that we have chosen. And whatever our result, we're going to put a counter on the grid. So we're trying to place a counter on the grid. Player one's counters are red, player two counters are blue. And our aim is to get 3 counters in a straight line of our own colour. It's a little bit like the game Connect 4, which many of you will have found, but we've got 3 counters. So Charlie, would you like...
I'm slightly worried that no one's paying any attention to what we're saying, because the chat, everybody's typing. A lot of people have got to 61. So some people are asking, how did you get 61? Please don't give the game away. We're very happy for people to struggle a little bit and keep trying. I'm sure you'll all get to 61. And it may take some people a bit longer than others, but that doesn't matter. Sorry, Liz.
No, it's fine. Let's have a quick go at this game so people get the idea, and then you can follow it up in your classes once you've had more of a think about the subtraction challenge. So thank you, Year 6T. They're listening. So Charlie, would you like to go first?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to spin for you. You have got the numbers.
I think there's a slight advantage in going first, isn't there?
Oh, really? Okay, you've got 6 and 4, Charlie. What would you like to do with those two?
6 take away 4 equals 2, please.
6 take away 4 equals, I'm going to click place the counter, and there we go. The counter's gone on the 2. My turn. I'm going to click spin. What have we got here? We've got 5 and 1. Ooh, okay. I think I might do 5, add 1. And I'm going to place the counter on the 6, hopefully. Okie dokie, your turn. Spin. So we're trying to find, those of you watching in your classes, what would you do with these numbers now? So Charlie's got 5 and 2. What would you do with those?
I'm going to go for 2 take away 5. So if the temperature's 2 and it goes down by 5 degrees, it's going to be a negative temperature.
Yeah.
It's going to be -3. I'm
Negative
going to
3.
try and make a vertical line, Liz.
Okay, right, my turn. I'm going 5 and 1. Ooh.
No, 5 and 6.
Oh, so, I beg your pardon. So it is. Thank you. 5 and 6. Oh, it's a shame it's not. Oh, no. Okay. 5 and... Okay, I'm going to go 6, take away 5 to give me 1. I think that's quite a good spot. Okay, Charlie's turn.
You just watch and see. 3 and a 4 is going to turn up.
6
No.
and 2.
Okay, I'm going to stop your vertical line if possible. I'm going to do 2, take away 6. So again, it's going to be a negative number.
Okay.
It means I can now try and get a horizontal line at the top or a vertical line.
Okay, 4 and 1. Okay, I'm going to go add, I think, 5. I think we'll probably stop there, Charlie, just because, you know I'm going to win.
I was about to win, Liz. I was about to win.
Go on then, I'll let you have one more go.
Thank you.
1 and 5.
No, I can't win yet. Okay, let's call it a draw.
All right, we'll reluctantly call it a draw. We're going to introduce you, let you have a go at that back in your classes. This game, it's brilliant for thinking about negative numbers, but also, as we said right at the beginning, you've got to balance that with that strategic thinking. Where is good to have a counter on this grid, and why? So where are you aiming for? Charlie, would you like to...
Did you want to just show that there's a link at the bottom to a follow-up problem called Connect 3?
So that game we've just been playing is called First Connect 3. And if I click down here to Connect 3, you then get a slightly different version of the game. So in the version we just played, both our spinners were the same. We had the digits 1 to 6. Here, it's slightly different. Charlie, would you like to say any more about this? Anything in particular?
Well, only in that you've got negative numbers on the spinners. So some of the older students who are participating today may have learnt about adding and subtracting both positive and negative numbers. So this is slightly more challenging because you may be having to, you may choose to subtract a negative number from a negative number. You may subtract a negative number from a positive number. So this may be more use for those of you who are in secondary schools already, but there may be some in primary schools who've already started to think about that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Charlie. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We've gone slightly over time, so apologies for that. But we were so excited by your thinking in the first task that we couldn't really stop you. What I'd like to do is just show you quickly on my screen. We've set up a page here, which is nrich.maths.org/MWL Maths Week London 2022, and we've put a link to the tasks that we've had a go at today. So do have a look there. We will also put a recording of this webinar up there. So if you wanted to watch it back again, or you wanted to share it with other classes back at school, please do. What I'd like to do now is just pop to a PowerPoint very, very quickly, because there are a few links on here. Ems has very kindly popped into the chat the link to our feedback form, which is this here. So do please fill that in for us teachers to let us know what we could do better next time. And finally, teachers, if you are on Twitter, do consider tweeting about what we've done today, or follow us at NRICH Maths. Alternatively, or as well, you might like to sign up for our newsletter so that you'd easily find out about more events like this. I think that's all we've got time for now. Thank you so much to all of you for participating so vocally, as it were, on the chat. It's made our lives a lot easier to know that you are with us out there joining in. Thank you.
The only thing I'd like to add to what Liz has said is that we're going to have some summer challenges. And I think on the Maths Week London page that she showed you earlier, it mentions that. And if you'd like information about that, again, it'll be in the newsletter. So do sign up for our free newsletter, or follow us on Twitter.
Thank you, Charlie.
And as Liz said, it's been a pleasure working with you all. hope you enjoy the two games that, or the two versions of the two games that we've introduced you to.
Absolutely. And have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.